This is Troy, your host. We are live and recording.
Thank you very much, Troy. Hey, everybody, let's go ahead and please take your seats. Let's come to order, please. Welcome to the May 14th business meeting for the Board of Douglas County Commissioners. Let's go ahead and start off this morning hearing from Pastor Jason Vandeveer for the purposes of an invocation. Pastor, please take it away.
Lord, we just come boldly to your throne of grace as you invite us to come freely and to receive help in time of need, Lord, and whether we recognize it or not, Lord, we are always in need of you. Lord, we pray as you taught us to pray for your kingdom to come and for your will to be done here on earth as it is in heaven. And Lord, in the meantime, we know that there are many other things that you call us to pray for. You call us to pray for the peace of Israel, the peace of Jerusalem. Lord, we pray for their salvation, for their deliverance from their enemies. We pray for our own nation. As you tell us to pray for our leaders and for all those who are in authority, we lift them up. We pray for the salvation of those that don't know you. We pray for the strength of those that do. Lord, we do lift up this meeting. We lift up our leaders here. We thank you for them. And we pray that you would just be with them, their families, that you'd give them wisdom, that you would guide this time, this agenda. Lord, that you would be with us here, that you would work for the benefit of your people, drawing many in these days to yourself, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor, for those words of wisdom and grace to begin our meeting. Our next item is the Pledge of Allegiance, but I'd like to ask for a volunteer from the front row to come forward and please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please come forward, sir. Please come to the podium. And if you all please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Something told me he'd know how to lead us in that pledge. And we will be hearing from him and the rest of his organization in just a little bit. But in the meantime, turning to the county attorney for certification of the agenda.
Yes, thank you, sir. The county attorney's office reviewed all items on the agenda, and the board has proper jurisdiction over these items.
Thank you very much, Counselor. Turning to the commissioners. Commissioners, any disclosures for items on this agenda?
I have none, thank you.
I have none, thank you.
Nor do I, thank you. Okay, so let's get into our ceremonies and proclamations. And first item up is a Patriot Award presentation from ESGR, Zach Humbles, Special Projects Engineer, Department of Public Works, presenting. Colonel Humbles, when you are ready, sir.
I appreciate it, Commissioners. Thank you very much for having us today. I wanted to take a quick moment to recognize some very impressive leaders. I've seen a lot of leaders through my time, and I can say with a lot of confidence that you have in your employees some of the best I've seen and worked for. In seeking the recognition they deserve for the support they provided to enable me to succeed in my role as a reservist, I wanted to introduce you to Elena.
Hi, how is everybody doing today? So I am Elena Merriman of the Colorado Committee of Employer Support of the Garden Reserve. And ESGR is an office of the Secretary of Defense established in 1972 to promote cooperation and understanding between the reserve component service members and their civilian employees, and to assist in the resolution if conflicts arise from a military employee's commitment. I am here today at the request of Battalion Commander Zachary Humbles, who serves in the Army Reserves of the 980 Engineer Battalion, part of the Engineer Brigade. Commander Humbles here asks ESGR to present awards to Sean Owens and Ms. Janet Airmen for the support they have provided, enabling Commander Humbles to successfully meet his military commitment. With your permission, if there is time, I would like to present a little historical background for what ESGR is and what we stand for. If there is time, if not, we can continue.
Go ahead and present that, please.
Okay. So ESGR, like I said, it's employee support for Guard and Reserve. So the U.S. used to rely on the draft to fill the ranks of the military, as some of you may know. The draft was accepted for a while it was universal and applied equally to all. It worked great through World War I, II, and the Korean War. However, the Vietnam War eroded the draft support due to several reasons, some of you may know. One of them being demographics. There were far more draft-eligible young men than there was a need for them in the military. You add to it the cost. There's always a cost to Uncle Sam. So it was very expensive to draft, train, and outfit troops to then have them train their replacements 2 years later. There was the opposition of the war, as you know, with the Vietnam War, so the understanding and support was fading. There was the military performance, and the Army attributed this to many of their disciplinary issues due to the draft, because there was such a small time frame. They were there and then they were going home. And also the moral principle, perhaps the most significant factor of all, because if you could afford to go to college, you could receive a deferment to the draft. So as a result, as you can imagine, the draft impacted disproportionate number of those in the lower socioeconomic classes. So that was not very good. In 1969, President Nixon formed a commission to study this concept of an all-volunteer force. 1 year later, the Gates Commission reported that the idea of an all-volunteer force was advisable and it would be cheaper, up by about a third of the price, to field and support Guard and Reserve service members. It would also promote military readiness and capability and would be fair to military-aged men and women. That means no more draft. This way, if you didn't want your children, your sons and daughters to join the military, then they had that option, which is great because I cannot see my kids joining the military. I am a veteran myself. My husband is also retired, so that is a great benefit for our family. But the commission in the process also had some recommendations. They did not want to isolate the military from the civilian population. And so they decided that if the country decided to go to war, they wanted the American public to know and feel the consequences of such a decision. So presently, Guard and Reserve forces are the first to respond. The commission also advised the president to increase the reliance on Guard and Reserve, and today they make 40% of our nation's military capability. That's a lot of responsibility that they pick up. They receive the same training, the same equipment, and are integrated into the same military operations as their active duty counterparts. So it is a lot to ask of the service members, but we also recognize that would not be possible without the employer support. Your support and your support. The military could not expect to recruit and retain the higher caliber of men and women, nor could it expect them to retain their motivation and military readiness if they were concerned about losing their civilian jobs while they were away performing their duties. So in 1972, DoD established the ESGR, and the mission was twofold. It was employer outreach, where we educate the employers about the military commitments. They don't just go and play cards when they have their time off. And also give them an opportunity to take a peek into what they actually do in daily operations through different opportunity. We have military outreach, where we also educate the military members, because there are cases where the military members themselves don't know what their rights are. They don't know how they are supported, how they should be supported, but also what their responsibility to the employers are. So we want to make sure that we bridge that gap where everybody is communicated. As we were talking earlier, military members can have a conversation with about 10 words and about 5 acronyms. So if you're not military, you may not understand those acronyms. And as military members, they strive really hard to translate their communications into civilian, but it doesn't always get across. So this is where our ombudsmen from ESGR come in to mitigate those possible issues. So, like I said, today we are here to show how grateful we are to 2 amazing individuals, and we'll start with Ms. Janet Herman. She is the Douglas County Public Works Director. I hope I got that right. And she has an enormous scope of responsibility and has enabled the Army Reserve soldiers to serve to a greater degree of success and service than industry would typically enable. She openly supports and enables continued Army Reserve and National Guard service, commending the dedication and commitment to the uniformed services. Her support of the Guard and Reserves enables significant gains in unit capability, readiness, loyalty, retention, and development. Ms. Janet also mentors her subordinate leaders, bringing additional perspectives, ideas, and solutions to military, civilian, and uniform challenges that enables even greater success. Ms. Herman is clearly a standout and above employer who exemplifies employer support of the Guard and Reserve. And those are Mr. Humble's words. This is for you. So this is to Janet Herman, Douglas County Public Works Engineering, as a patriotic employer for contributing to national security and protecting liberty and freedoms by supporting employee participation in America's National Guard and Reserve Forces. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your support.
I'm also giving him a coin, Commissioner.
Oh, a coin too? You guys are making out like bandits today.
Italian coin.
I know. Next we have Mr. Shawnee here. He has taken great effort and care to ensure his shoulder work and project requirements that would have ordinarily been assigned to his subordinate Army Reserve employee. This is above and beyond what would have been required of him or what has been observed as industry practice when employees are absent. Sean's continued support for Army Reserve service has absolutely enabled significant success in the uniform ranks, which has contributed greatly to readiness and force retentions. This sort of daily employer support is extremely exemplary and included continued dialogue and discussion. So communication is a great thing to have. Mr. Owens cultivated a mutually supportive workplace that foster balance and capitalize on the strength and growth that continued Army Reserve service can provide the civilian sector. Sean represents the ideal civilian professional leader and support to the National Guard and Reserve. My success as a battalion commander and the tremendous time requirements would not have been possible without Sean's support. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you for the time, Commissioners.
Well, hang on there, Zach. Don't you retreat just yet there, Colonel. Questions and comments from the board?
Well, as always, we are remarkably pleased to see a distinguished member of our military here. This is a county that supports law enforcement, supports the military, and we're thankful to have a member of our distinguished military serving on our board of county commissioners and ensuring that we highlight the incredible work that you do. So thank you, and thank you to our staff.
I'd like to thank everyone here who has supported the military. We would not be here today as the United States of America if it weren't for people who took up the cause and created the freedom that we enjoy today, and then the rest of you that have supported it throughout the years. So thank you.
Good job, Zach, because if you hadn't been on your toes and recognized this opportunity to reward your bosses for them, making accommodations so that you could continue to serve our nation, but continue to serve us here and all the residents and the people of Douglas County. we would not have this opportunity today to thank Sean and Janet for their good work in supporting you. And it's something that, I don't know, I mean, you and I have talked about it a little bit, but coming off active duty and going into a civilian occupation, some of you may know about this too, that can sometimes be a real struggle. And it's very much like what was mentioned, you know, you come out of the military speaking one language and you've got to get back to speaking American again. And it's obviously, Zach, it's service members like you that set the example for us all. But great job, Sean. Great job, Janet. Thank you for giving an opportunity to one of our brothers, who I think we all know. Zach has done incredible things for the county, and we look forward to many more years to come. Can I ask y'all stand and give me another round of applause for Sean and Janet? And colleagues, if we could go on down, I think we want to take a couple pictures. Good boss, good boss. How do you lead someone that leads a Belgian? What day? Good job. Thank you. That's great. All right, well, sticking with the theme, our next item is a resolution recognizing the dedication of the Douglas County members of the All Veterans Honor Guard, presenting for staff, Barbara Drake, Deputy County Manager.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Barbara Drake for staff. It's my honor to introduce a resolution recognizing the dedication of the Douglas County members of the, I don't know why I have a croak, dedication of the Douglas County members of the All Veteran Honor Guard. And I want to recognize the individuals that are here today that are Honor Guard members: Dale Fort, Craig Boussard, Wayne Turner, Brent Pick, Dylan Gregory, Tina Cosley, Larry Underwood, Bob Sewell, Craig Sundquist, Kathy Kraske, Kim Ward, Greg Fuller, Randy Shute, and Christopher Desmond. These community members brave all types of weather and dedicate countless hours to provide final military honors for veterans and retirees, honoring their service with reverence and dignity. I would also like to thank Aurora Ogg from the 18th Judicial District Attorney's Office for helping to organize this tribute. With that said, Dale Fort, chaplain of the Castle Rock team, will read the resolution. Dale?
Good afternoon. My name's Dale Fort, and I'm part of the All Americans Honor Guard from Castle Rock, Post 1187. We are joined also today with a few other members of the All Veterans Honor Guard who belong to other posts. They live in Douglas County, so they're here for your call also. We thank you, Commissioners, for this invite today for a recognition of the services of the All Veterans Honor Guard to our nation's veterans. As you may know, this team of men and women veterans provide military honors services for deceased veterans and their families. These services are generally held at Fort Logan National Cemetery in Lakewood. We also, though, service local cemeteries for people who live in this area that wish to be buried in their local cemeteries. Our services are typically performed by 7 veterans, a commander, a chaplain, and 5 riflemen who render a 15-gun salute to the deceased, followed by a bugle playing of taps. We are joined by military personnel from the deceased branch of service, for whichever one service they belong to, and those gentlemen will typically do the flag folding ceremony and present it to the family. I think it's fair to say that our unofficial motto is that it's all about the veterans and their families, and we will do our utmost to provide them with a very memorable ceremony. There are 5 American Legion posts that currently provide honor guard services in this area at Fort Logan, each one handling an honor guard service on a particular day of the week. The Castle Rock Post serves on Wednesdays. We handle all military honor services for that day, and those number of services can range from 1 to 10, or sometimes even more. I understand that Commissioner Teal is a fellow veteran, having served for 10 years in the U.S. Army, and having participated in Operation Desert Storm and Operation Pacific Haven. During that time, he rose to the ranks from a private in the infantry to a first lieutenant. Commissioner Teal, we thank you for your service. The commissioners have requested that I read the resolution from the Board of the Douglas County Commissioners, which reads as follows. Whereas the Veterans Honor Guard was formed in Colorado in 1993 with an estimated 100 veteran volunteers, and whereas from 1993 to 2023, these dedicated volunteers, including 2 teams from Douglas County residents, provided final military honors for over 23,800 veterans and retirees, honoring their service with reverence and dignity. And whereas the members of the All Veterans Honor Guard brave all types of weather and dedicate countless hours to ensure that veterans and their families receive meaningful ceremonies each year, whereas the solemn and respectful manner in which they perform their duties brings comfort to grieving families and serves as a profound expression of gratitude for the sacrifices made by our veterans, and whereas the commitment of the All Veterans Honor Guard to ensuring that every veteran laid to rest receives a proper farewell is a testament to their unwavering reverence for those who have served their country. And whereas the custodians of this noble tradition grow older, obviously, it is incumbent upon us to answer their call and ensure the continuity of their legacy by actively seeking and encouraging new volunteers to step forward. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Douglas, Colorado, hereby expresses its deepest gratitude and appreciation to the Douglas County members of the All Veterans Honor Guard for their outstanding service to our veterans and their families. And be it further resolved that the Board encourages all citizens to recognize and support the vital contributions of the All Veteran Honor Guard in preserving the memory and legacy of our nation's heroes. And be it further resolved that this board calls upon veterans to heed the call of duty by volunteering with the All Veterans Honor Guard, ensuring that our community continues to honor its veterans with the dignity and respect that they deserve. Be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution shall be presented to the Douglas County members of the All Veterans Honor Guard as a token of our deepest appreciation for their selfless dedication. Passed and adopted this 14th day of May, 2024, in Castle Rock, Douglas County, Colorado. This is signed by Commissioner Teal. We thank you for this honor.
Thank you very much, Chaplain Fort. Chaplain, I don't know which branch of the military you're in. You were not dismissed, sir. Please come back to the podium. And Barbara, if you could please come to the podium as well to answer any questions from the board. And questions or comments from the board.
Well, that was incredible, and
I'm off the hook by now.
I suppose if Commissioner Teal is going to require some additional comment, I'll provide some. You know, I have, in my 6 years being an elected official here at the county, have seen so many of you at so many critically important events. Many of you I know personally, and your dedication and commitment to our community is unparalleled. In those moments when families are deeply grieving loss and are challenged by what has occurred for their communities, you show up and you provide precision, honor, and a level of dignity to those who have served that is really tremendous. So I'm always deeply honored to see each of you at the events that I attend, and I thank you for the remarkable 23,800 that you have performed in the last 20 years. That's incredible. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all of you for what you do. And I talked to some of you out in the hall. My father served with the Navy, and he was on the USS Block Island in Korea. And he suddenly died with no notice in 1996. So our family, my mom, my 4 brothers, and I were just in terrible shock. And he died on the Monday before Thanksgiving. And we were able to get a ceremony at Fort Logan on the Friday after Thanksgiving. We were astonished how everything came together. And when the Honor Guard showed up and folded the flag, it was just breathtaking to watch what you do. And to this day, that flag is in the hallway going into my family room, and I see it every day. And it reminds me of my dad and his service and what you all did. And this is from me, a family member who was honored to have you there and honor my father. So thank you very much.
First and foremost, thank you for coming back to the podium, Chaplain. You know, in the Army, we say, when a commissioned officer addresses you, you will come to your feet and say, sir. Only when we're veterans, then it's kind of like, yeah, whatever. So thank you, Chaplain. I appreciate you coming back to the podium in case there were any questions. I didn't just enlist in the infantry. I served in the infantry as a commissioned officer as well, and it is certainly one of the great honors and privileges of my life to have been able to do that. I appreciate the work the Honor Guard does as my father is interred at Fort Logan Cemetery from his time of service during the Vietnam era. And I can assure you in that time of grief in our family to be able to return to our traditions as a people, as a nation, in order to commemorate his life and his service was great solace to my family. I am sure I am not alone when I tell you that is a message that will come from the many who you serve up until that last final obligation our country renders to our veterans. So thank you all very much. I appreciate it. So Chaplain, now you can go sit down. And Barbara, you can go sit down too.
I would like to say first that it wasn't that I was ignoring your instructions, My hearing is not what it used to be.
Oh, come on, man. I'm a veteran, too. I've heard that. I pulled that
But
one
you're not
myself.
almost
Come
80
on.
this year, are you?
Thank you very much, Chaplain. Thank you all. Barbara, last comments before we open for public comment.
Commissioners, I want to clarify that the copy that's going to these individual teams was signed by all three of you, so thank you for that.
Thank you, Barbara. At this time, I'm going to open the floor for any public comment. If anybody would like to come forward and make public comment, now would be the time. Please come, anyone for public comment? And, yes, sir, do you have public comment on this matter?
Oh, not on this matter.
Sir, your opportunity to speak on another matter will come, I assure you.
Just in general. Got it
Yes,
wrong.
please return to your seat. Sir, come on forward to the podium, please.
First of all, my name is Greg Fuller, and I served the United States Army. I understand you did as well, so you're going to heaven. The one thing that's so special about this is you see it in the eyes of the family. The sympathy is almost not there. It's more about the empathy. It's more about one person taking another person in their arms verbally and saying, you matter, and so does your deceased husband, wife, whatever. And let's don't forget the wives, or we won't have any hair. It is an honor. I happen to be a Jeffco resident, but I made it all the way down there through the traffic. And I would just like to say thank you for doing what you do in this county.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Anyone else for public comment? Please come forward, sir. Give us your name and tell us where you're from. Exactly. Tell us your name again,
I
Chaplain.
just wanted to point out, that you talk about the sacrifices and the effort we put into this endeavor. This gentleman who just spoke, we lost our long-term commander a couple of years ago, and his particular post lost their honor guard because of the lack of members, and he called us and asked if he could join us. Well, it was just coincident with us losing our commander, so he came on board. That was his position in the Arvada honor guard, and he came on board and did this. But just to show you the effort, he goes through the obituaries each time we have a service. He goes through the obituaries and finds out particulars about the deceased and brings in personal things about that. And he had 5 kids. He did this, he did that. So that's the kind of service some of these men present for us.
Thank you very much, Chaplain. Anyone else to make public comment on this matter? And seeing none in the room, Troy, do we have anyone online who would like to make public comment on this resolution?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
Thank you, Troy.
Commissioner Teal?
Yes, ma'am.
I did get received a text from someone just now who asked if I would read it into the record for him.
Please proceed,
You would?
Commissioner.
Okay, this is from John Beckwith, Captain U.S. Army. He wrote this year in 2024. He said, for our vets, thank you for your service. When our nation sent the call, you answered when we needed, there to serve us, one and all. You left your home and family in kindness and with grace to protect our nation's freedom. Now the world's a better place. Now that you are safe at home from your service in the ranks, with all respect and humble pride, I give a grateful thanks. Again, by John Beckwith. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. John Beckwith has been a good friend to the board for many years. Thank you very much for being on your toes so we could capture those words. With that said, we have concluded public comment, and board, we do have a resolution before us. What is the pleasure of the board?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve a resolution recognizing the dedication of the Douglas County members of the All Veterans Honor Guard.
Second.
There is a motion and a second, and colleagues, thank you very much for hearing me out in pitching this idea to honor these, but really, it's Aurora who brought this to my attention, and all credit really belongs to her. Thank you so much, ma'am, for bringing this forward so that we could take this moment to honor everyone in your fine service. I personally plan on giving you guys some work one of these days, hopefully not for a while, as my family knows it is also my plans to be interred at Fort Logan National Cemetery. With that said, there is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. And there are no dissents, and the resolution is approved. All right, we see Caroline once again. Colleagues, let's take some pictures.
We could have half of you in the front and half in the back. Right here, in front of the sign.
Well done. Thank you for coming. Well done. Thank you for coming, Evelyn. Appreciate it. Here. Big sir. Absolutely.
Drew, do you want us to
Come on
come
in
down
here,
this way?
guys. Thank you very much.
The cake count. This is only 5.
In the copious amounts of spare time I have, you betcha. I might need to,
Chairs.
Super. Might need to finish this gig before I got that spare time.
That way you can get a little
But-
closer.
There you go. There you go. Mind if I get in here? Sure. Cool. All right. Cool. Thanks so much. Again, appreciate it. Absolutely. Thanks for being here. I'd be okay with that. No problem. Yeah. Anytime.
Yes.
Good job. See, that's military training because they just file right out. All right, next item on the agenda is a resolution proclaiming May 10th through 16th, 2024 as Law Enforcement Week in Douglas County, Colorado, in honoring the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Dave Walcher, Under Sheriff of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, presenting.
Thank you, Commissioner Teal, and greetings to our commissioners today. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. As you know, Sheriff Weekly could not be here today. He'd be honored to be here, and I have the honor and the privilege to be in front of you today. I do want to introduce a couple members of our staff that are here today. Kosha Hayden is our Public Information Officer. We have Diane Romero, our Budget Manager there. Diane, just wave. There you go. Thank you. Chief Mike McIntosh is back there. Chief Kevin Duffy is here, Captain Troy McCarty, Captain Phil Domenico, Lieutenant Rob Rotherham, Deputy Luke Ward is back there, Captain Dan McMillan, Emergency Management Director Deborah Schnockenberg, And Captain Jason Kennedy is back here also. Chaplain Ralph was here a few minutes ago, but I think he had to go to another meeting. So if you'll give me the opportunity and the pleasure, I'd love to read this resolution to the Board of County Commissioners in honor of our fallen officers.
Please do proceed, Under Sheriff.
Okay, thank you. And I'll just say, prior to starting, every one of us that have been in this business for any length of time have had friends pass away in the line of duty. And I remember I was talking to somebody right before this, and the first individual I ever had the pleasure to work with passed away in the line of duty in 1984, 40 years ago. And all of us know people who have paid the ultimate sacrifice. So I certainly appreciate the Board of County Commissioners hopefully passing this resolution today. So this is a resolution proclaiming May 10th through the 16th, 2024 as Law Enforcement Week in Douglas County, Colorado, and honoring the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy. Whereas more than 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office, and whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, more than 24,067 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty, including Sergeant Wayne Bryant in 1978, Deputy Ron King in 1999, Deputy Zach Parrish in 2017, and Detective Joe Pollock in 2021. Whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas 282 new names of fallen heroes were added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring, including 118 officers killed in 2023 and 164 officers who died in previous years, and whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund's 36th Annual Candlelight Vigil on the evening of May 13th, 2024, and whereas May 15th is designated as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of all fallen officers and their families, and U.S. flags should be flown at half-staff. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Douglas, Colorado, formally declares May 10th through 16th, 2024 as Law Enforcement Week in Douglas County, and public salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. So I would ask for and encourage you to pass and adopt this resolution supporting the Douglas County Sheriff's Office and members of the law enforcement community in National Police Week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Under Sheriff. Questions and comments for Under Sheriff Walcher?
I'll just make a comment, Under Sheriff, that I was in the back talking with you about how many of the funerals we have been to. I have been to 3 of the 4 funerals you just talked about for Douglas County deputies. And I'd like to just take this opportunity to talk about 4 officers that I knew who died in the line of duty. One of them is Ron King. Ron King actually was a Colorado State Trooper, and I worked with him in the Castle Rock office before he left the State Patrol and came to the Douglas County Sheriff's Department. I remember going to coffee with Ron when he told me he was leaving, and I said, "Ron, don't go. We need you. You're a great traffic officer." He was one of my good friends, and we worked side by side like many of the law enforcement officers here. On September 26, 1987, I was working here in Castle Rock as a state trooper when I got a call that there was an officer down on Monument Hill. Trooper Charlie Fry had been struck by a drunk driver who left the scene. I found that drunk driver just south of Castle Rock. Got him stopped almost to Yale on I-25. He confessed to me that he hit something he didn't know it was a deer. And I remember going to the trial in El Paso County. Barney Iupa was the DA, and he had me testify, and there were 12 jurors sitting in the box. And as I started testifying and playing the tape of that arrest, one by one, those jurors crossed their arms and sat back in their seat. And it was just so amazing to watch. On January 23rd, 2001, Jason Manspeaker was a Colorado State Trooper who was looking for a van from some escapees from Texas. and he ran off the road and died. And I went with his body to the coroner's office, took his badge and his gun, and went to his widow's house and gave those to him. So these are things that any law enforcement here that has been involved, a law enforcement officer that's been involved in something like this never forgets. I had a trooper who worked for me when I was in Durango, and she slipped on the ice. A few years later, she died on November 23rd, 2012. Her name is also on the wall in Washington, D.C. This is not the reason why we serve, but we serve because we know that this could happen. So my hats are off to all the law enforcement officers in the room and everyone who has lost their lives keeping our communities safe. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner.
Well, it's such an honor to serve on this board. We got to thank Commissioner Teal, our chair, for his service in the military, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Commissioner Thomas for her service with law enforcement. These experiences inform what we do on a day-to-day basis, and I'm so honored that in addition to the undersheriff, the chiefs, the captains and the deputies, I know all of you. I have had the opportunity to get to know you and see the incredible work that you do, and it's just phenomenal. Not only day to day, but what you do when the chips are down and things are horribly tragic for those that you serve with. So it's an honor to have the opportunity to pass this resolution today, and again, I deeply thank you for your service.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, Undersheriff, thank you so much for bringing this before us for consideration. I myself am wholly in favor. I think the Douglas County Sheriff's Department is an excellent organization that does great work for the people of Douglas County. And so I'm, for one, am very much in favor of the adoption of this resolution, and very thankful for you are bringing it before us. I would ask that everyone, could I ask that a lot of you are identified by the Undersheriff, for all the law enforcement members in the room, all the sworn personnel, please stand. And everybody, will you join me in a round of applause to honor them? Well, thank you very much, Undersheriff. At this time, we will open the floor for any public comment. If anyone would like to come forward and deliver public comment on this resolution, please indicate you would like to do so by walking forward. And seeing none in the room, Troy, do we have anyone online who would like to speak in public comment on this resolution?
Thank you, sir. No online comment.
Thank you, Troy. Returning it then back to the board. Board, we have a resolution before us. What is the pleasure of the board?
It is my honor to make a motion to approve a resolution proclaiming May 10th through the 16th, 2024 as Law Enforcement Week in Douglas County, Colorado, and honoring the service and sacrifice of those law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty while protecting our communities and safeguarding our democracy.
And I'm honored to second that.
There is a motion and a second on adopting this resolution. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And there are no dissents. Resolution passes. Thank you very much, Undersheriff.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And thank you all. And once again, Caroline comes forward, which means, colleagues, if we could go forward for a photo. So you guys do this all the time. So unlike the veterans, you gotta do it like you know what you're doing. Obviously, you could tell that honoring the heroes among us is a big thing here in Douglas County, which we are always happy to take time for. But let us continue with the business before the county and move on to the consent agenda. Colleagues, is there what is the pleasure of the board with our consent agenda?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the requests on all items A through N and items P through AF of the consent agenda. Item O is removed from the agenda.
Second.
At this time, I'll open the floor. Is there anyone who would like to make public comment for any items on the consent agenda? Seeing none in the room. Troy, do we have anyone to make public comment for any items on the consent agenda?
No online comments, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Once again, there is a motion and a second to adopt the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Consent agenda passes. Moving on to our regular agenda items. Our first item is the Parks Funding Agreement between Douglas County and Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board for $2,500,000. And let me get my paperwork in order here. Luke Thornton, Parks Program Coordinator, Department of Community Development, presenting.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Luke Thornton, representing Community Development. The request before you today is to approve the Parks Funding Agreement between Douglas County and the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board. On March 30th, 2023, the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board submitted a Parks and Trails, Open Space, and Historic Resources funding application requesting $2,500,000 towards the construction of Prospect Village Community Park. The Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board has dedicated $2,265,262 in matching funds. The project was reviewed and recommended by the Parks Advisory Board as a 2024 budget request on June 12, 2023, and the Board of County Commissioners formally approved the request as a part of the adopted budget 2024 budget on January 9, 2024. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve the Parks Funding Agreement between Douglas County and the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board. This concludes my presentation. Staff and representatives from the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board are available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Luke. Questions for Mr. Thornton from the board?
Well, Mr. Thornton, thank you for the presentation. And, I think what's incredibly evident from the $375,000 we represent is the value of parks and open space in Douglas County. And we are so thankful that the citizens voted overwhelmingly to re-up on that ballot measure to ensure that there was significant funding ongoing for parks and open space. No doubt this is a representative project that will further the goals of both our citizens and this board. Do you have any, and maybe I'll reserve any additional questions for the applicant? I'm sure is there a presentation from the applicant?
We do have just a few comments to make. It won't take very long. We just want to...
You bet. Then I will pause and follow up after your presentation.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, questions for Mr. Thornton?
I do have some questions about the process to identify what projects got funded. I visit the Parks Advisory meeting like I do all the other boards and commissions to see what's going on. And I knew that there was a process, and I've got a copy. There were 30 anchors that were evaluated. Is that right?
That is correct.
And I have a copy of the scoring from the Parks Advisory Board. I've got copies here for my fellow commissioners if they'd like to see these.
Cool.
And I've got one for the record here. So when I was looking at this to see how the scoring went, I see that the Sterling Ranch project is the lowest scored. It's at 61%. And so what led me to ask the Parks Board for this scoring formula to understand what happened here is when I was reading in the packet, it says that the park amenities may include a pool. There's a list of things, but the word may made me wonder if the design has been done on this park. So I don't understand if there's a design in place or not. That's my first question.
Mr. Thornton.
Or do you want me to ask the
I think
applicants?
that the applicants would be the best answer for that particular question, Commissioner.
Okay. I would just like to put in the record that there were 18 requests for money, and we did give High Note Park some planning dollars. Is that right?
That's correct.
But nobody else. So I'm just interested on why, if Sterling Ranch needs planning dollars, if this project is planned, but why we're funding someone who only has a 61% scoring rate. So I'll be interested to hear what the applicants have to say.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Thornton, I have no questions for you, sir. Chair recognizes Mr. Debus to come forward come forward representing the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board.
Thank you, Commissioner. Gary Debus, I'm General Manager for Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board, or we call ourselves Sterling Ranch CAB. It's always a pleasure to come down and see our county government doing such great work. So, number one, all the things that you just recognized, we just want to applaud you for that. Thank you for your consideration of our request today. I'll be fairly brief, and I do have a few people that would like to make some other comments. To address your primary question, Commissioner Thomas, the park is not only designed now, it's under construction. We've already begun moving dirt for this park. It will include a pool. The reason there was a word may in that application was that our opportunity to enhance what Sterling Ranch had already been approved for in terms of that park with the addition of county dollars, we would be able to add more, including a pool. And just a few points I'd like to make. Staff did a fantastic job of working with us. We appreciate them tremendously. With this park and the funding from Douglas County, should it be approved, it will help us not only serve Sterling Ranch community itself with our tax dollars, but this park will be available to members of the public. And I know Jessica will be up here in a minute. She'll talk a little bit about any fees that might be applicable to certain other users, including our own Sterling Ranch folks. But this park will serve not only Sterling Ranch, but Roxborough Village. It will serve Solstice. It will serve Plum Valley Heights, who I've had conversations with, some of those persons in that great neighborhood that would like to be able to utilize a pool. This pool will be there for their use as well. The Chatfield urban area today has a population of about 20,000 people when you look at that area. We have no regional park or regional amenities other than part of the Highline Canal Trail with Douglas County. So we think the request is very appropriate. It's a portion of Douglas County where we don't have regional park amenities, the hundreds of millions that Douglas County has spent in other parts of the county, and they are very important dollars. This park will not only be owned by Sterling Ranch CAB and managed and maintained, it will be operated by us as well through the taxes that come in to us from the citizens, but available to all. And your dollars would help us with that. Sterling Ranch, I might also note, at build out of over 12,050 units, will have a population that comes close to 40,000. So this is part of that experience that you're going to see in Northwest Douglas County that we don't have presently, including those other neighborhoods. And with that, all I'd like to do is just thank you for your consideration and then let several other folks, unless you had questions for me, have a few brief moments as well to hit on some different topics that I have not.
Commissioners, I wonder if we can hear from the Community Authority Board before giving additional questions.
That's fine.
Okay.
Mr. Debus, please call up your next team member.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. My name is Jessica Tolles, and I am the Director of Community Experience and Resident Support at Sterling Ranch. I work with our residents and have started working with many of the surrounding communities on what services we provide both internally to our community members and how we can enhance the relations with the surrounding community members. I want to thank you for your time and your consideration. I was part of the group that spoke in front of the Park Advisory Board and made this request last year with Gary. We appreciate your time. The plan that we have put together and that has gone through location and extent approval with the Planning Commission does take into consideration the $2.5 million from the Parks and Open Space Sales Tax Fund and includes a swimming pool that will have 6 swim lanes. Our goal is within a few years to have swim teams there. It has a zero entry feature and a splash pad feature there inside the pool to help just make it more accessible for all of our community members. There is a fully inclusive playground as a part of this 8-acre park, a Youth 10 soccer field that can be used for soccer and other sports. It also has a band shell that we can utilize for community concerts, gatherings, just to add to the lifestyle and experience, not only for Sterling Ranch residents, but for the surrounding area. We want to help bring people together and have that experience there. We also have a basketball court, a full basketball court, in addition to turf areas within this park. As a result of the donation, that $2.5 million from the open space sales tax, we are looking at the fees. As a metropolitan district and special district, all of our spaces are open to the public. We've heard feedback from our neighboring communities about fees. We're looking at, and we have to still make the proposal to our board of directors, but we're looking at Douglas County users having a significantly lower fee than non-Douglas County users. We're looking at an average based on other park districts of somewhere $8 to $10 for a daily pass. Douglas County users would pay 1/3 of that, or $2.50 for a day pass for that pool, because the contribution from the county does represent about 1/3 of the total cost of construction between the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board and the development company's donations for land and services. We are currently under construction, as Gary mentioned. We've done all of the sediment control measures. We're in the process of over-excavation for this park. We are approving the contractor at our board meeting for the Community Authority Board on Friday to begin construction on the pool and bathhouse. We continue to work with Douglas County staff on the appropriate permitting, approvals, et cetera, as we go through planning and whatnot. We're very excited and looking forward to bringing this amazing park to fruition for not only our residents, but the surrounding Northwest Douglas County area. Again, I thank you for your time and your consideration. We really look forward to this partnership and being able to present a great park. We hope that you'll all be at the ribbon cutting for the playground later this fall, and then the pool in May of 2025. Thank you.
Very good. Is there another member of the Community Association Board to speak?
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joey Halligan. I serve as the president of Sterling Ranch Metro District number 3, where the Prospect Village Community Park is located. On behalf of our district, Sterling Ranch, and the surrounding vibrant Chatfield urban area, I extend our heartfelt gratitude to the Douglas County Commissioners and staff for your unwavering collaboration and support in bringing Prospect Village Park to fruition. Prospect Park stands as a testament to our shared commitment to community enrichment and well-being, with its diverse range of amenities, including a multi-use pool facility, sports fields, picnic areas, basketball courts, a fully inclusive playground, and a dynamic band shell. This park embodies inclusivity and recreation for all. Oh, and if people want to come in dressed as Superman or different heroes, they're also welcome for different community events that'll happen there. The generous support from Douglas County has been instrumental in realizing our vision for Prospect Park, enabling us to enhance its offerings to meet the evolving needs of our rapidly growing community. We're deeply appreciative of the time, dedication, and financial support extended by the Douglas County Commissioners. Your partnership has truly empowered us to create a space that will foster connection, recreation, and joy for generations to come. Thank you for your continued support and commitment to our shared vision.
Thank you, sir. Any other member of the Community Authority Board?
Yes, my name's Cal Reynolds. I'm a resident of Sterling Ranch. I am no longer a part of the CAB, but have been working with them pretty regularly in the past year and months. But why I'm here is we started an organization in honor of my sister. She lived her life with disabilities. She passed away a few years ago, but we recently realized there was still a gap in our community and in the Chatfield Basin of inclusive play. So we kind of glommed onto that idea and have been working really closely with the CAB to make sure that we provide this amenity to our residents that need it. If they're a child with disabilities, if they have a family of kids with disabilities, or if they're adults who want to play with their kids, maybe they have their own mobility issues or disabilities themselves. So that's been really important, and I've been really happy with the support that the CAB has shown in that. They've really embraced inclusivity on this for not just the playground, but the entire park that we're looking at building here. And I also wanted to commend the commissioners for your support throughout this process and the planning board. We were at those meetings, they gave us great notes, and I think they were really on board, and it showed to me as a signal from the county towards inclusivity, and that got me really excited. And I know that Sterling Ranch here has been doing a great job to do that to the fullest. Myself, many other members of our community with personal experiences have been involved in the design process, and what we've come up with is really exciting, and I hope to see all of you there when we open ground on that inclusive park. Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir. Any other member of the Community Authority Board? Mr. Debus, I wonder if you could come forward to field any questions from the board.
Absolutely.
Questions for the board, for the Community Authority Board team.
Well, this seems like a phenomenal project, and I just want to thank each of you for that personal testimony and always for the warm welcome to all of our citizens. In my mind, this perfectly reflects the interest that we have in parks. It's greatest good for the greatest number, serving a really significant number of citizens within our community in a way that is special and unique and significant for them. So I thank you for giving us the honor to look at this today.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner.
Thank you. Do you have other parks in Sterling Ranch that you have built?
We have a number, yes, we do. We have several, I don't know.
We have the Overlook Clubhouse. We've got 12 pocket parks.
I think we have 12,
Okay.
yeah.
More right now.
I believe 12 pocket parks. We have 3 under construction right now. So we'll have 15 of those pocket parks as well as the Overlook Clubhouse.
Okay.
And acres and acres of open space and many trails throughout the community as well.
Okay. Again, when I got this chart and showed that you scored 61%, that's my concern. We've got some that scored 95%, 92% of the 18. I don't know if there's anybody here who can talk about the scoring process. Do you guys, do either of my fellow commissioners understand the scoring process?
So, turning back to staff, would anybody like to field that question from Commissioner Thomas?
Yeah, Nick Geoke, Parks Program Manager. So what you're looking at in the spreadsheet is the scores that the Parks Advisory Board came up with for the 2 external requests, and then all of the requests for that staff Parks Operations had for this year. Basically, that spreadsheet was the Parks Advisory Board scoring that each one of those projects so that the commissioners would have that information and that they could make the decision on what they felt was appropriate to go into the 2024 budget.
Okay, thank you.
So that scoring sheet was information, that process of vetting each project and coming up with the score so that we could provide the information to the Board of County Commissioners so that you guys could give direction on what should be funded, what should not be funded.
So for example, Reuter has $250,000. Has the county put that money into that project?
Correct.
So some of these have already been funded, even though they're not in red?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You'll notice that like High Note Park is one of the ones that was on there, and we, last meeting just presented them with the IGA.
Right, I remember doing that. And then it looks like in Exhibit B that as Sterling Ranch or the CAB does work, they will provide invoices to the county for what has been completed, and then we will reimburse them for that work?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. I have no other questions.
Commissioner Layden.
And I have none either.
Okay. Hey, I have none. I appreciate the presentation by staff, appreciate the presentation by the CAB. My questions were answered. I appreciate Commissioner Thomas for taking us into the weeds a little bit with our Parks Advisory Board methodology. I think that was enlightening for me. But I have no further questions, so I'm going to go ahead and open the floor. Well, hang on. Before I do that, any further questions by the board?
I'm none.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and open the floor for any public comment. If there's anyone that would like to come forward and make public comment on this funding agreement, please rise and come forward now. And yes, sir, please state your name and where you're from.
Hello, Commissioners. Ephraim Glass, here on behalf of Roxborough Village Metro District. I've spoken with Jessica at length about this park. The board is not opposed to the park. The only thing that our residents were concerned about was past promises with their other facilities where our residents in Roxborough Village were promised, oh yes, you'll be able to access the pool at our rec center, and when that came to fruition, the price was jacked up so that it was unaffordable. The prices that were mentioned earlier by Jessica, completely reasonable to the board, to residents. That's totally fine. The only thing that we suggest is make sure Sterling Ranch follows through with those figures. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Glass. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to make public comment on this funding agreement? And seeing none in the room, Troy, do we have anyone online who would like to make a comment on this funding agreement?
Thank you, Commissioner. I have no online comment.
All right, thank you, Troy. Bringing you back to the board for action. What is the pleasure of the board?
If I could just ask a question to the county attorney?
Please do.
Mr. Garcia, I don't think this is like a land use hearing when an applicant makes a promise that it is binding. Is that right?
That's correct.
So what Mr. Glass just talked about is what the price is that they're hoping that they've been told they will get, but just because it was said here doesn't mean it's binding.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Debus, is there a member of the team that would like to speak to that matter?
I would be happy to, and our recommendation to the board is going to be exactly what Jessica explained. And in our early conversations, we've already had that approval because although we haven't had that vote of the board, we are really excited to enter into a partnership with Douglas County on this park and bring amenities to that region of Northwest Douglas County that aren't available today. So you have my commitment that that's going to be what the fees will be. It's not binding, I suppose, but I don't think I've broken my word to anyone here before, and I don't plan on doing that now.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Appreciate it. You may return to your seat. Would the board like to consider adopting this funding agreement?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to approve the Parks funding agreement between Douglas County and the Sterling Ranch Community Authority Board for $2.5 million.
Second.
Okay, well, I'm certainly in favor. There is a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
On just a point of order, there might be a call for further discussion.
Oh, by all means. further discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I would just add, I think some important points were raised that, these are public dollars, and we always have an expectation that we benefit all of the public that we serve. I appreciate your comments, Mr. Debus, and those of your entire board, that this would really be a public benefit, not only for those in Sterling Ranch, but for all county residents. So I think that is a significant point, and I appreciate you taking that up.
Thank you, Commissioner. Further discussion.
Because there are so many people here that are in support of this, I will support this, but this is difficult when I see what our Citizen Advisory Board has scored this as. So that is a concern. Thank you.
Well, I had the opportunity to attend the groundbreaking, and I can assure you that we have a great deal of support for this park, and I met those constituents right there. They expressed they think the design is great. They look forward to having the amenity. And of course, many of those folks probably are in walking distance to the planned park. And so I am sure they were very much in favor. But there were a couple other residents of the area who made it a point to express how much they appreciate our support for this project and how it's going to be welcome amenity to the recreational life of the residents of the area. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I think my colleagues raise a good point. And, for the benefit of the listening public, I know we don't have that many with us right now. We appreciate our citizen advisory boards. Those boards make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners. So ultimately, the buck does stop here. When I look at, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 members of the Parks Advisory Board, many of which are no longer on the board or have indicated they are resigning from that board. So there's a bit of a shuffle happening at the Parks Board. I also have some concern really with any appointed member that would not score a disability-friendly park highly. I was at the ribbon cutting as well and was pleased and honored to see many members of the IDD community and those that would be served by this particular regional amenity really appreciative of what you all are doing. So I would question the considerations of any that would score this low. So I think that gives me more pause on this Parks Board member than it does on you all. So thank you.
Okay, further discussion. All right, Commissioners, there is a motion and a second. Do those motions and seconds stand? Any reconsideration? And seeing none, there is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? And funding agreement passes. Thank you, members of the Sterling Ranch CAB, for bringing this before us, and good luck. Do well. Okay, our next item on the agenda is a resolution permitting the lawful possession of firearms in government buildings in unincorporated Douglas County, and this was originated from the office of the Douglas County Attorney, and presenting Jeff Garcia, Douglas County Attorney.
On May 7th, the General Assembly passed Senate Bill 24-131, which is titled The Prohibition on Firearms in Sensitive Spaces as Defined by the U.S. Supreme Court, which will take effect on July 1st, 2024. This bill creates Colorado Revised Statute 1812-105.3, which limits the possession of firearms in government buildings. This statute provides some opt-outs. It does not apply to those in possession of a permit issued by the statute, to law enforcement or security officials, or to local governments such as ours that opt out. The opt-out is limited. It does not apply to the State General Assembly, schools, polling places, or to other local governments within a government. So in our case, the municipalities within Douglas County. However, it would allow this county to opt out to having individuals lawfully in possession of a firearm or a concealed carry permit to allow those individuals to carry within government buildings, including meeting rooms, chambers, and courtrooms. This resolution allows us, Douglas County, to opt out and allow the lawful possession of firearms in our buildings where an individual has taken those steps to gain the necessary permit. I'm happy to read the resolution, however, it is somewhat duplicative of what I've just stated.
Board, any need for the attorney to read the resolution? We've all had a chance to review, but I will hear a suggestion that he read it from the board if needed.
I don't need to hear it. I have a copy.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I do as well.
As do I. Thank you, Commissioner. At this time, questions for Attorney Garcia?
Well, in my 6 years here, it has really been significant to me to bring forward to this board a resolution proclaiming Douglas County as a constitutional county. I believe we deeply support the Second Amendment and the right of free people to defend themselves. So following citizen comment, of course, I'll look forward to the opportunity to support this measure.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner.
Yes, thank you. So, Mr. Garcia, this does not pertain to the Justice Center, is that correct?
It would not extend to the Justice Center, no. Only to courtrooms within it. The bill that is being talked about, the 24-131, only extends to courtrooms, meeting rooms, so jails, the lobby, that other portion of the Justice Center is not contemplated in the bill.
Thank you. I would just like to put this on the record that there is another law that says if someone who has a concealed carry enters a building like the Justice Center, they are required by law to have a lockbox there that they can store their firearm before they go into the Justice Center. And I would like to see us become in compliance with that law.
Thank you, Commissioner. I don't think I have any questions, Jeff. I think you did a great job working this resolution up, and I appreciate you taking all direction from the board in the work you did. I think it looks great by me.
Thanks, sir.
Let's go ahead with no other questions from the board. Let's go ahead and open the floor to any public comment. Would anyone like to come forward and make public comment on this resolution? And Chief, if you've said it many times, please give us your name and where you're from. And of course, the agency you represent.
Thank you, Commissioners. Kevin Duffy, I'm the Bureau Chief of the Douglas County Sheriff's Office. My role of responsibility is the Support Services Bureau Chief and also the Bureau Chief over our Detentions Division and our courts. So I'm responsible for court security. So Commissioner Thomas, I think you answered my question, but I'm still a little bit confused. But this resolution will not include allowing people to come into the Justice Center. Even if they have a lawful permit, we do ask them, we provide a lockbox or return their weapon to their vehicle, but we don't allow weapons into the Justice Center. Would this resolution continue in that manner?
Okay, hang on a second, Chief. We'll go ahead and pose that question to the attorney once you conclude your comments, please.
I just need clarification on that so we don't confuse the public.
So
Okay. Commissioner, by all means.
Chief Duffy, I'm not at all suggesting that guns be allowed into the Justice Center. What I am saying is that people who have a concealed carry permit need to be able to carry their firearm to the Justice Center and use the lock boxes that are there instead of being told they need to go back and put it in their car.
Oh, understood.
That's what the law says, and I went round and round with the previous undersheriff about this, and I would just like us to be in compliance with the law.
Okay. We can make that happen.
Thank you.
I understand where you're coming from now.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Chief. I was about to call you a witness for a second, giving testimony, but that's all right. Thank you, Chief, very much. Appreciate it. Would anybody else like to make public comment on this matter? Sir, please come forward. Give us your name, where you're from.
My name is Doug Schul, 22 Higher Lane, Castle Rock. Has there been consideration to putting in weapons detection systems into any of these facilities? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schul. And let's make sure we get that question to the commissioners, but also to the county attorney. Is there anyone else who'd like to make public comment on this resolution? Seeing none in the room. Troy, do we have anyone who would like to make public comment online?
Thank you, sir. I have no online comment.
All right, thank you, Troy. Okay, turning back to County Attorney, but also the board, we have Mr. Schul's question pertaining to, and let me get this right, sir, weapons detection equipment being installed in any properties that would be affected by this resolution. First of all, to the County Attorney, is that contemplated in this resolution?
It is not. From a legal standpoint, we're just opting out as provided by the new law.
Okay, thank you, sir. Then back to the board. Anyone like to take up an answer to Mr. Schul's question?
I don't have an answer to that question.
I think my answer, Mr. Schul, would be no. And perhaps under no circumstances. But, of course, I'm happy to hear circumstances that may compel us to, but at this stage of the game, I have no intent to. Okay, let's move along. Commissioners, we do have a resolution as introduced by title before us. What is the pleasure of the board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve a resolution permitting the lawful possession of firearms in government buildings in unincorporated Douglas County.
And I'll second that.
Excellent. There is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Well, I'll just go ahead and say I think this is great. I think this is a great resolution. I am very critical of the empowering statute that's referred to in this resolution. And, okay, we trust each other to elect our elected representatives. And we are a nation that was built on the principle of the right to keep and bear arms and to defend oneself being kind of the first right of the republic. And so, no, I'm very critical of this idea that we need the state to spoon feed what we can and we cannot do. And when it affects the basic rights, to me, it's the equivalent of the state coming down and telling us how we're supposed to vote. Not how we should vote, not the method, but how we're supposed to vote. And so I am very critical of the empowering statute referred to in this resolution, and I am all in favor of the adoption of this resolution. Further discussion before a vote?
I support the adoption of this as well. This bill was watered down significantly from what it started out as, so I'm pleased that that got watered down as well. And I support the ability of people to protect themselves. That's why I bring up the part that if someone's walking from the parking lot in our Justice Center to the Justice Center, they still have a right to protect themselves during that walk. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Further discussion? All right. There is a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Resolution passes. All right, this is the time when we come to citizen comments, organization comments. At this time, you're welcome to comment about any topic other than those that appeared on today's agenda. This is an opportunity to share your thoughts and ideas with us. Please state your name and where you reside prior to making your comments. You will have up to 3 minutes. Any obscenity and any comments calling for criminal or violent action are prohibited and could result in your dismissal. Commissioner comments, if any, will follow all citizen comments. At this time, is there anyone who'd like to come forward for the purpose of citizen comments? Come on forward, sir, and please give us your name and where you're from.
Rich Castle Rock.
Very good. Continue,
I'm just
sir.
going to read it, and I'd like to submit into the record what I'm reading.
Very good, sir. You, by all means, make your comment as prepared, and then you may present that to the county attorney.
Okay, great.
Please carry on.
Okay. Houseless, homeless, roof over thy head issue, 760-681-4926. 760-681-4926. Call me to start an actual direly needed coalition to stop this absurd and ever-increasing madness from government and much of the community, if and only if you have a working conscience, not just lip service, not just lip service of how good, right, caring you are. You are. But in fact, live and let live in your actions, more importantly, in your inactions to strangers. to strangers. Let's legalize a euthanasia pill, a euthanasia pill, a euthanasia pill that allows the mature brick and mortar houseless adults to leave this abject nightmare they face in your town, this state, this country, peacefully, lovingly, painlessly, with family and friends all around, to finally release them from the sheer ignorance, shameless hypocrisy, utter void of actual decency, respect, and a simple letting people take care of themselves in the way they see fit. In our, quote, deep spirituality, superiority, virtuousness, we tenaciously claim to be, let's just, your words, not mine, let's just once and for all get rid of this scourge, the lazy, the bums, the drug addicts, the mentally disturbed, the eyesores, the property value depreciators, the vagrants, the do-nothings, the perverts, the leeches, the parasites. By allowing them to be done with this mentality of monstrous evil masquerading as all good, right, and the American way. YouTube, Stanford professor Dr. Robert Sapolsky, his book Determined, for steeply researched academic condemnation of this mentality. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And if you have your prepared comments, you may present those to the county attorney to be entered into the record. Is there anyone else who would like to make public comment at this time? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward, give us your name, and tell us where you're from.
Hello. I'll get it right this time. Christine Hashimoto, 5112 South Perry Park Road, Sedalia. I just have several items. I want to commend and thank our three commissioners, Thomas, Teal, and Layden, for joining with the town of Castle Rock, GOCO, Douglas Land Conservancy, and the Conservation Fund in purchasing Lost Canyon Ranch. This acquisition of 681 acres will preserve habitat for wildlife who have called Douglas County home longer than we have, and will help preserve our great quality of life and mental health in Douglas County. I hope next time I'm here, it's to thank the commissioners on their acquisition of Jackson Creek Ranch. Last time I was in this hearing room, it was for the discussion of the 1-cent sales tax for open space designation. I apologize to Commissioner Layden, who was trying to get my attention to state my name and address. I was not being disrespectful or rude. I simply couldn't hear. So this brings me to my second item. Acoustics. I was recently at Lone Tree Arts Center for a Gilbert and Sullivan performance, and they offered the hearing impaired use of T-coil or headphones, and I found it useful, and perhaps that could be used here. And lastly, since we were thanking everybody else for their service, I wanted to thank the commissioners and Doug DeBoard for all their years of service to Douglas County. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Very much appreciated. Is there anyone else who'd like to make public comment? Just a reminder, everyone, we are running just a bit late, and we have yet to have our land use and public hearing. So, and ma'am, please state your name and tell us where you're from.
I'm Leslie Hansen. I'm from the Roxborough area, and I've spoken before you on the same topic in the last couple of months. I'm a citizen of Douglas County, and I'm here to comment on what I think is the fiscal irresponsibility of Commissioners Teal and Layden and their ongoing dispute with Commissioner Thomas. There have been 3 investigations of Commissioner Thomas, it's my understanding, all three of them have resulted in a positive way for Commissioner Thomas. She has not been charged with any wrongdoing as a result of these investigations. As a result of these investigations, one of which was a criminal investigation, she very smartly went out and hired an attorney. She asked when the investigations were concluded and she was cleared of any wrongdoing, she asked that you all pay her fees. And the controlling case law, my understanding is, provides for that. It appears to me that you are wasting taxpayer money on a lawsuit that you may very likely lose. It's my understanding that a motion to dismiss was just denied by Judge Baum. He quoted the case that controls here, saying that when two government entities sue each other, it's not fair for one government entity to use taxpayer money and the other government entity, in this case you commissioners, to be forced to defend themselves by using their own personal funds. And Judge Baum quoted a very particular passage which, to my way of thinking as a retired lawyer, signals pretty clearly where he thinks the law lies. You've now spent in excess of $50,000 of taxpayer money. $50,000 of taxpayer money. The problem here is you two don't have any skin in the game. It's not your money. It's taxpayer money. You're playing with house money. If it was your money, no doubt you would have settled this lawsuit. Her attorney's fees are no doubt skyrocketing, just as yours are. And if you lose this case, you're going to end up paying her attorney's fees as they continue to ratchet up. How do you justify to the taxpayers making that kind of irresponsible, fiscally irresponsible decision? Cut your losses, settle this case, and stop spending my money and the taxpayers' money on a petty vendetta where you are attacking her, you removed her from her committees, you harassed her. Let's get on with the business of Douglas County and settle the lawsuit and stop wasting our taxpayer dollars. It doesn't sound even fair to the average citizen that you two get to use taxpayer dollars and she has to use personal funds.
Ma'am, if you could wrap up your comments.
Okay? Despite the prevailing case law, it doesn't even sound fair to the average citizen, which I am. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. We always appreciate hearing citizen comments on matters that are before the board. We usually do ask that they be factual. Is there anyone else who would like to make citizen comment at this time?
Was that a comment that my comments weren't factual?
Ma'am, you had your opportunity. Please sit down.
Yeah, 3 minutes.
Sir, if you could give us your name and where you're from.
Yeah, again, Doug Schul, 22 Higher Lane, Castle Rock. I am also embarrassed. I looked up bullying in the dictionary. It's not very flattering. And what do our children in school learn about bullying? There is no room for it. Yet here we are, 2 Douglas County commissioners bullying a 3rd Douglas County commissioner. It just isn't right. We have a democracy, not ruled by few. Commissioner Thomas is a duly elected official. The people that elected her want her input. You two, Layton and Teal, have taken that away from Commissioner Thomas and the citizens of Douglas County. We don't like it. You should be ashamed of yourself. I want to ask both of you to give her back all the power she had and make her even, and to learn to govern with dignity and respect. By the way, I was contacted by a law firm about 3-4 weeks ago that's suing Evolve Technology, the company you put into STEM school. We had an hour-long conversation. After the conversation, I gave them a plethora of information. They asked me if I would testify, and I said I would. Layton, as an attorney, you know about discovery. They uncover a lot. And don't think for a second that I won't talk about U2, Evolve, and STEM School, no RFP, or no citizen input. What can we draw from that kind of behavior? And Commissioner Layton, your record is not that clean here in Douglas County. You know it, and I know it, and it's out there. Both in your personal life and your professional life. Give it up. I'm not going to say anything more about that right now. The stock at Evolve Technology has recently dropped 50% because they didn't meet financials. They're being investigated by the SEC and the FTC, and this is the system that you put in STEM School and spent $1 million for. Why didn't you do an RFP? I still am burned about that. Why didn't you get citizen comment? I'm still burned about that. And Commissioner Layton, I remember a video I saw of you chastising Commissioner Thomas, trying to make her loyal to the commission. That's not democracy, that's autocracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schul. Anyone else for public comment at this time? Mr. Glass, come on forward. Once again, please do give us your name and where you're from.
Ephraim Glass, Roxborough Village. I just wanted to let you guys know that we had unrelated to prior comments, we had a meeting with some of your traffic folks from Douglas County a few weeks ago. And we had probably a 500% increase in our attendance for our meetings because people were really concerned about safety along Waterton Road. And the message that we got from the traffic safety guys was, we have to follow the rules. We can't even give you an option of a safer road until basically there are more accidents. And we wanted to be proactive and try to prevent people from getting hit, killed on the road, because we have the Highline Canal right there, Waterton Canyon. People cross that road all the time. And we really want to prevent anyone from dying. And we've already had someone hit on that road, a young kid. Luckily, he was not too harmed by that incident, but it gives you an idea with Sterling Ranch being built out, there's more and more people crossing that road. And basically, what I'm proposing is having the county commissioners give us an option of being proactive rather than reactive to any incidences on those roads. That's where we're coming from. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Glass. Very much appreciated. We are behind time, but is there anyone else who would like to come forward and deliver public comment to this board? Seeing none in the room. Troy, do we have anybody online who would like to make citizen comment at this time?
No online comments, sir.
All right, thank you, Troy. Moving along, commissioner comments. Are there any commissioner comments from the board?
You know, just a few. The board had an opportunity to do a PSA for the county recognizing Men's Health Month. I will share that having a late father that we wish we really got him in to the doctor's office before he passed. Our big message, I think, to all citizens, I know there's not many online or in the room, but the encouragement to go see that primary care physician. The statistics around survival when you do that are really significant. I also wanted to share that our Wildfire Action Collaborative had the opportunity to tour a significant biochar facility in Berthoud, which monetizes the combusted materials from prescribed burns and can convert them into carbon, which is an environmentally friendly opportunity to remove PFAS from the ground and also for your landscaping. So it's a really good, actually, apparently there's some international investors that are using some of these carbon byproducts from biochar to grow grass and all kinds of agriculture in the desert. So it's really an exciting opportunity for us. I do appreciate citizen comments. Great to see Christine here. My goodness. You've been coming here for many, many years, and we greatly appreciate you. If we need to improve the audio, we will absolutely do that. Thank you for your involvement. I'm not sure what to say about the rest. It's political season, and we I know county staff calls that silly season around here. There's a lot of false narratives out there, which are unfortunate. I think it's important to get the facts straight. If there's going to be public comment around the past, I'm not sure how helpful that is. I mean, our goal as a board is to not relitigate the past, but to focus forward. I've been really pleased with the work that we've done up to this point, and I hope that we can carry that forward.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner.
Thank you. Ms. Hashimoto, you used to be here a lot. I haven't seen you for a while, so it's good to see you back. When I saw you sitting here, I thought, I wonder what Christine's going to talk to us about. So thank you for being here. Mr. Glass, we have met and talked a lot about Waterton Road. So we've had those conversations. And for the other people that commented, I'll just let you know that we had been doing some negotiations. We'd been making progress. They've stalled, but I hope that we can get back and get some more progress done. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Commissioner. All right. Moving along, is there any other business to come before the board today? All right. County Manager report. Thank you, sir. All right. We're going to go ahead and adjourn. Our next business meeting will be held on Tuesday, May 21st, 2024 at 1:30 p.m. We are adjourned.